how do you compare the two countries if you're talking about quality of life? Are they just different, or is one does one have a higher quality of life versus the other?
I can only speak for myself, but let me put this uh, more in general terms. If you're well off in the United States, you're usually very well off. And we are comparatively well off. I by no means super rich, but we have a lovely home, 5 acres of nature around us, which is huge when you're coming from the Netherlands. I have a forest behind my home. I own a forest with rocks in them. It's crazy. So we are considered to be pretty well off here, and you can lead a nice life. My wife has doubled the number of students this year, so that means also she is doubling her income. So we're able to live very comfortably. At the same time, when you drive through Vermont or rural Vermont, you see so many people who live in poverty that go bankrupt because of they had heart failure or cancer or some other medical emergency that bankrupted them. People who cannot find a job because there's basically not much to do because all Vermont has is mountains and a few meadows where you can do some agriculture. But there's not much to do. Not everybody can become a maple farmer. We don't have industry. There's only 500,000 people in Vermont. It's one of the least populated states in America. There's almost nothing to do. There's nothing to do for the youth here. We thrive on tourism, mostly Canadian tourism. Of course, the Canadians are staying away, rightly so. Uh, tourism, there's less 30% less tourism this year alone because of the political situation. So businesses are struggling, businesses are closing. So if you're not well off, it's a rotten country to be in because it's all about you have to make your own life. You know, you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps because there's no social safety network. And they will say, "Oh well, you're to blame because you did that. That's wrong. You did that wrong. And had you done this, you would not have been in this situation." Poor people are blamed for being poor, and the rich people, even though they might have inherited their wealth, are praised as these great geniuses of business. You know, it's so weird. So if you're not well off, it's a miserable life. And I would never want to be not well off in the United States. But if you're well off, I mean, compared to the Netherlands, we barely pay any taxes, really. The Netherlands, most people in the Dutch, we have a progressive tax system, pay at least 60% taxes. 60%. Here in America, I'm not crazy. You know, you don't even get money for yourself to spend. Well, we get lots of it in turn. We get great roads without any potholes, you know, healthcare, education, you name it. We've got safety. You know, we people take care of you in the Netherlands. It's the government that will take care of you because you put all that money into the social security network. And here, I mean, well, I had the unfortunate time in my life here in the United States that I was out of a job because you know after my second divorce, I had to find my own way being a single parent, and I was no longer that international trainer of neurolinguistic programming teaching personal growth and development trainings. No, I had to try something that I've never tried before, and I became a person working in an international call center because I spoke my languages. I speak French, I speak German, I speak a little bit of English and Dutch, of course. So I had to call, that's my job, I had to call international companies in Europe at the crack of dawn, starting at 3 a.m., because 3 a.m. is 9 a.m. in the Netherlands, yeah, and doing surveys about how much people like their computers. I worked for Dell, and on a scale of 10, how would you rate your satisfaction with this Dell, blah, blah, blah. You know, I had to do it all day long in a call center. It was the most horrible job. And I was poor. I was dirt poor. And I really felt what it was like and not to be able to afford the things that you want to afford for your child. And of course, at that time, I wasn't well known as a voice actor because it takes an eternity to become an overnight success. You know, you have to work your way up and become notorious and go from job to job to job. So in that time, I had a hard time. I had to work as a waiter as well on the side. I had to wait for tips. Whereas in the Netherlands, where I was working as a radio and television journalist, making 100K a year at least, if not double that, I had to go and work as a waiter at night after doing the call center from 3 a.m. in the morning till noon. And I had to do my shift as a waiter working for tips. Yeah. It's a, it's a sobering experience, I can tell you that. I would never want to do that again. I learned a lot from it, but it's not fun to be poor in the United States of America. I can tell you that. I don't envy the people who are at the bottom here.
And I
Yeah.
guess I guess Americans, a lot of Americans would say that that is the American dream. That you could start at the bottom, you could be working in a call center, you could be a waiter, and then you could end up years down the road having a 5-acre property. I mean, that is the American dream, the rags to riches story. And I get that. I get it's the quote unquote land of opportunity. But like you said, a lot of people are not born into circumstances that are very conducive to them finding success in life, not due to any of any mistakes they've made, but just because of the amount of money that their family has, or they grew up in a poorer neighborhood, or whatever it might be. Sometimes people are just out of luck, and the system, it seems like they fall through the cracks of the American system.
Oh, yes. And there are big cracks, and the cracks are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, as we speak, as we're recording this podcast, we are dealing with tariffs, right? That make all the things that we import a lot more expensive. In And so the cost of living is going up. We have more inflation, so people are getting less and less of the money that they can keep. So we're really going into an economic recession. And first of all, it touches the poor people. The rich people who all benefit from the big tax breaks that our president is giving them, they don't care. They don't have to think about that at all, because they just can buy another yacht because they just got a big tax break. So yeah. Yeah, the great thing is that I'm not a very materialistic person. I did not grow up finding my success and happiness, measuring that by the amount of things, stuff that I own. It's more in the immaterial things that I find my happiness. I'm the happiest when I open the door to my home and in the morning, and I sniff this first breath of fresh country air. I hear the birds sing, and I look around. I see nature around me. It's quiet still. I see the dew on the grass, the beautiful greenery that's surrounding me, because Vermont is the green state, the green mountain state, right? I see the mountains, and that's the best feeling ever. It's not the car that I own or the big home, or the fact that I've had a career and made something of myself. No, it's not that. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter because it allows you to afford lots of things, but um, it's the things that I appreciate most are something that you cannot put a price on. Again, it's a cliche, but to me, it's true. I have a kayak that I can put on the top of my car. I can drive to 10 different lakes in 10 minutes all around me, and just take my camera, do my wildlife photography, or I can volunteer at a nearby charity that is organizing summer programs for kids, and be there and be surrounded by the people that I love. And that is really the richness that I experience on a daily basis. Yeah. I get a little bit sentimental.